This is a preseason game where Caitlin Clark is not available, and even though it wasn't announced until just before, you probably want to body slam me. Fine, I'll drop 21 points on you. That was basically Sophie Cunningham's response after Mystics rookie Kiki Iron committed a flagrant foul that could have hurt the Fever's new addition. This proves that there is an agenda against the Indiana Fever, an attack agenda in a preseason game that wasn't friendly. The Indiana Fever displayed a level of toughness, unity, and a willingness to support one another, even when Caitlin Clark was sidelined with a... In this video, we'll break down Sophie's and the Fever's spicy response and how the Washington Mystics reacted post-game after the bullying. If you support Indiana, leave a spicy comment below. Let's go. This is the first time we're seeing this. They're attacking Sophie Cunningham just like they did Caitlin last year. The Indiana Fever's new identity was born, and players like Cunningham, Hull, and Bonner demonstrated they won't back down from anyone. I'm calling this out now. What happens when the face of your team sits on the sidelines? The Indiana Fever had to play their preseason opener against the Washington Mystics without Caitlin Clark. This wasn't just any absence, though. It was her first missed game in 5 years during her entire college career at Iowa. The rookie WNBA season coach Stephanie White made the difficult decision to sit out Clark because she was experiencing what she described as a slight tightness in her left leg. We need to think long-term, White explained, protecting her star player with a demanding season ahead that features 4. I think the Fever's decision to play more games than last year was a wise one for the future, but it left them extremely vulnerable right now. The most important thing is that we need to think long-term, like we need to make sure that we're not putting Caitlin at risk for injury or putting our team in a situation where we're thinking short-term and not long-term. It's a long season, so we want to be extra cautious and put her health and wellness first and foremost. To be honest, though, it's been one day at a time. You know how she's responded to treatment and workouts, so positive progress is being made, but we can't be short-sighted. Picture this. The Washington Mystics, sensing weakness, came out aggressive from the opening tip, pushing the Fever around and daring someone to step up in Clark's absence. The first quarter was brutal for Indiana as they fell behind quickly, losing 24-13. The Mystics established complete dominance, missed layups, and had no offensive flow. The Fever looked completely lost, and the deficit ballooned to 15 points. The fans could not help but wonder if the game was already over before it really started. While it appeared that they would easily defeat a Clarkless Fever squad, Stephanie White appeared irritated that we were behind 15 points. She must have stuck her foot up her team's ass by calling a timeout and saying, you see this arena, you see all these fans who came to watch you guys, 12,461 people. They didn't come to watch you guys. They didn't come to watch you guys drag ass. Let's play some defense and let's get it together offensively. Meanwhile, an unexpected hero appeared out of the shadows, Lexi Hall, who came off the bench with vigor and hustle and began to turn the tide. She grabbed 4 steals, disrupted Washington's offense, and added 13 points. Crucial points to keep Indiana within striking distance. And Kelsey Mitchell praised Hull for doing the grunt work and providing that spark when the team most needed it. Lexi Hull looked the most confident I've ever seen her look, putting the ball on the ground, taking it to the rack, and shooting three-pointers middies. Whether they win it or not, we can discuss that another day once the season begins, but the fact that she's confident enough in her game that she's at least willing to try to do something to make the offense happen in order to generate points and confuse the defense. Despite all of the early difficulties and double-digit deficits, the Fever displayed incredible tenacity. The absence of their star player wasn't an excuse, rather it presented a challenge for other players to find their rhythm. The defense tightened, and suddenly the overwhelming lead didn't seem insurmountable. These 2 players are known as the Blonde Bombers. We were behind 15 points in the first half. We cut it to within 3. How did the Fever stay competitive without Clark? The answer wasn't in one player attempting to replace her 20-plus points per game. It came from unexpected heroes. With 5 minutes remaining in the first half, Mystics rookie Kiki Iran gave Sophie Cunningham what can only be described as a body slam. I know it wasn't announced that Caitlin Clark wouldn't play until just before this preseason game, where Clark is not available, but you probably expected this to be more than just a hard basketball play. The team stepped up collectively, playing with heart and refusing to back down from Washington's physical challenge. Little did the Mystics know that their physical approach would soon backfire in a dramatic way. She's right there saying, don't you do this. She's telling the rookie right now. Cunningham, who joined Indiana this offseason in a 4-team trade, had been gradually settling into her rhythm and helping cut Washington's lead. She was moving without the ball, creating space, and causing problems for the Mystics defense. Then came the confrontation that changed everything. Probably there were 10,000 people present in a real home foot advantage. Ian grabbed Cunningham and violently flung her to the hardwood as the two players fought for a rebound, causing teammates on both sides to gasp. Froze for a moment, and then Cunningham leaped to her feet and got an Erie off in his face. That's Kiki era fan, and I have to tell you, this is the worst part of the WNBA. You don't do that. You don't do that. Cunningham's words were crystal clear, and even from the broadcast, the officials swiftly moved to separate them, but the damage was done. They reviewed the play and determined that Erioffen had committed a flagrant 1 foul, a call that seemed lenient considering how dangerous the play appeared. At this point, they're celebrating that, which is crazy, because she's screaming and Kiki's laughing in her face. I've never seen a rook have a vet so shaken. But the Mystics weren't done picking on Cunningham. Later in the game, Brittany Sykes gave him another needless shove that sent him crashing to the ground once more. It wasn't subtle. It wasn't basketball. It was bullying, plain and simple. There was a pattern of Washington players picking on Cunningham, and this time, Brittany Sykes and Dana Bonner got involved. She stood on business a little, and the Fever's bench erupted. The Mystics believed they were being tough and intimidating their opponent, but instead they woke up a sleeping giant in Cunningham and united the entire Fever team. The officials reviewed both incidents, assessed penalties, and the game resumed, but something had fundamentally changed on the court. The energy had shifted, and the Fever players weren't backing down. This was the same Indiana team that was pushed around last year. Dana Bonner, another veteran addition to this squad, immediately stepped in to confront Sykes, demonstrating the new protective culture developing within the team. Coach White, who was fired up, later referred to Cunningham as a dog, basketball slang for a player with unwavering fight and heart. Oh my God, Sophie is a dog. She's a competitor. She's versatile. So she lets us do different things. She's huge, and she's going to be for us all season long. But what she brings from an energy standpoint is that she raises the level of play of everyone around her as soon as she steps foot on the floor. Hell, even on the sideline. Her communication, for example, is undoubtedly an X factor. How do you react when opponents try to physically intimidate you? Sophie Cunningham had a simple answer: drop 21 points and lead your team to victory. That's exactly what she did after those brutal confrontations with the Mystics. Whatever Washington's plan was, it completely backfired. Instead of breaking Cunningham's spirit, they unleashed her competitive fire. Instead of intimidating the Fever, they united them. And instead of securing a victory, they set the stage for one of the most satisfying comeback victories you can imagine. This is Sophie Tunney's first half. She runs down the court and finds Sophie Cunningham, who pumps up the draw on the drive, hierarching pass, but it was too high hole, pulls down the rebound. As we come back after falling behind 15 points, after being body slammed by Erioffen, you could see that Cunningham's approach changed. Her anger in her eyes changed to laser-like focus, and her movement became more decisive and aggressive. She was no longer just playing basketball. She was making a statement. Cunningham began attacking from every angle, including mid-range jumpers, drives to the basket, three-pointers, and drives to the basket. The Mystics continued to try to body her and bump her, but with every physical play, Cunningham only seemed to get stronger and more determined. Her efficiency was amazing, going 6 for 1 from the field, which is shooting nearly 55% at the free throw line. She was even better making 7 of 8 attempts for an impressive 87.5% scoring. This wasn't just volume scoring, it was calculated high percentage basketball in the biggest moments. In the first half, Sophie Cunningham and Lexi Hall played the majority of the game together. The majority of the time they were in this game, Sophie Cunningham demonstrated why we brought her in. We won the Sophie Cunningham trade hands down with no doubts or second thoughts. However, Cunningham's impact went beyond just putting the ball in the basket. She hustled for loose balls, crashed the boards for 8 rebounds, and played with the kind of intensity that energizes an entire team. This is why Coach White called her a dog after the game, which is basketball's highest compliment for a player who brings a never-ending fight. You know what else we're seeing in all these videos? As the fourth quarter progressed, the Fever's comeback gained significant momentum, with Cunningham at the center of their attack. The Mystics' lead, which had once been a 15-point advantage, vanished completely, and the game went into overtime, setting the stage for Cunningham's final act of retaliation. Cunningham took complete control of the game throughout the extra period, making clutch baskets and crucial free throws when it mattered most. The Mystics players who had attempted to intimidate her earlier could only watch as she methodically. There was no 4 versus 5 when it came to fighting heart on the court today. And if anyone thought that this team might be lacking heart, you have one thing coming to you. You think you're going to be pushing around Sophie Cunningham like that? Don't worry, Sophie. I got this, White. She didn't hold back her praise. She raises the level of play of everyone around her as soon as she steps foot on the floor. Hell, even on the sideline. Seeing Sophie Cunningham play out of this world made me feel good. I also noticed that there was no volleyball passes on, which made me feel good. You can try to bully Sophie Cunningham, but you will regret it when she makes you pay on the scoreboard. This year, there are people who won't put up with the nonsense. The irony was perfect. The very player Washington targeted ended up being the main reason for their defeat. The intimidation tactics completely backfired. Instead of breaking Cunningham, instead they unleashed her. How did Sophie Cunningham respond to being body slammed by Kiki Aram? She scorched the Mystics for a game, high 21 points, grabbed 8 rebounds, and delivered the knockout blow in overtime. If you want to give the Fever a go ahead and try us. If you try running through F, someone will put themselves in your face and tell you to calm down, whether it's Sophie Cunningham on the bottom of your screen or Dana Bonner here. If you mess with this team, something much bigger than a preseason victory had just occurred when the final buzzer sounded at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. We saw the birth of an entirely new Indiana Fever team last season, one that opponents could push around. Teams would get physical, and the Fever would frequently back down, not anymore. But first and foremost, they just play so hard. They play with multiple levels of effort. They're both tough as nails. They use their length well. They're like mirror images of each other, the way they can spread the floor, the way they can cut, and what they bring on the defensive end of the floor. The most telling moment happened after the game when the Washington Mystics players who had just watched and delivered body slams and shevs all night refused to shake hands, instead going straight to the locker room. The crowd erupted with every defensive stop, every basket made, and especially when the Fever players stood up for each other after those cheap shots. Sophie Cunningham called the fans the sixth man and credited their energy for igniting the comeback. You want to make sure that your home court is special to you as a team, but you also want to make it as difficult as possible for other people to come in here to Gainbridge, and they don't want to play here. So I think that as an energy player, you have to get your fans involved. That's our sixth man right there. Lexi Hall's 4 steals, diving for loose balls, and disrupting passing lanes were all examples of how the team's new identity was being formed right before our eyes. The veteran additions have completely changed the team's DNA. Cunningham and Dana Bonner aren't just contributing points and rebounds, they're also bringing a toughness and attitude that's permeating the entire roster. When Ian body slammed Cunningham, you'll notice how quickly Bonner stepped in, something that didn't happen the previous season. We put Sophie in position where she was running the point guard, and then we put Lexi in position at the end of the game Coach White concentrated on the fundamentals that made this victory possible. The Fever hit an amazing 27 of 28 free throws, or 96.4%, in close games where those points at the line become the difference between winning and losing. I'm grateful to have players like that who are comfortable being uncomfortable and doing what's necessary for our team to find success. You know, that's part of our core values, and sometimes that means playing out of position. I thought they both did a great job of that. White stated, "I felt like our defense really gave us an opportunity to get back in the game, gave us an opportunity to finish the game. I liked our aggressiveness. I liked the fact that we picked up, you know, pretty much 94%, that they didn't get anything easy. I mean, it's not often that you come out with a win in games where you shoot 30% from the floor. This wasn't just a regular win. This was a statement that the Indiana Fever aren't the same team that opponents pushed around last season. They're tougher, more resilient, and have each other's back. This isn't the soft Fever team that you can push around last year, so let's just push them around and bully them, because nobody on that team has any to step up to us. Don't worry, we took the offseason seriously. The Mystics tried using physical intimidation as a strategy when things get tough, but it completely backfired. Instead of breaking the Fever's spirit, they united them. Instead of establishing dominance, they awakened a sleeping giant, which is why they couldn't face the Fever in the handshake line. The message from this game couldn't be clearer. Try to bully the Indiana Fever at your own risk. They're standing up for each other and aren't backing down anymore. If you stand with Indiana, leave a spicy comment below. Like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications so you never miss anything. The Indiana Fever aren't just Caitlin Clark's team anymore. They're a group with heart, fight, and an identity built on toughness. When Clark returns to join warriors like Cunningham, Hull, and Bonner, keep an eye out, because the 2025 Fever might become the team no one wants to face. And we'll see you at the Fallen.